Hi everybody, how are you doing? This is the beginning of Mod 4 for the videos, and right now we're going to be talking about different charts and chart types and creating charts and name ranges. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the name ranges actually. Named ranges are really kind of interesting. It's really designed to save you a lot of time as far as calculations and typing are concerned. So what you want to do is really go up into this piece right here, and if you guys remember, it's called the name box. So if you go into the name box, you click there, and whatever you type, like for example F6, and press enter, it brings you to F6. Well, there's different ways to do things like this, and then I can actually call certain pieces certain ranges, and we've seen that to type in. I want to select F6 all the way to H9, say, and it selects that range. Well, I could name ranges as well, and that's what we're doing today, is we're naming certain pieces. So for example, I can grab this right here, and I can call this purchase date. By selecting it, clicking in here, purchase underscore date, and press enter. Now, every time I want these cells, if I click inside of here, click purchase date, it automatically does it for me. Now I put the underscore in there because you are not allowed to have a blank space inside of here. So for example, if I try to do this and say salesperson with a space person and press enter, it's going to say, yeah, you can't do it. It's invalid. Okay? So you can't have that. You can't have a space, so that's why you have to put the underscore or a dash or just connect them all together. So this one right here, let's say current date. Well, let's say current date. Oops, sorry. As I just finished telling you, you can't have a space. So the underscore is in there. Press enter. Now current date is in here. So now I have two different pieces inside of here. Okay. It's kind of an interesting thing, and where you end up seeing these things is in the formulas tab. You can see a name manager, and this is where it comes from. In the name manager, you see current date, and you see this one right here is the purchase one that we have. New, edit, delete. So if I want to delete them, I can if I made a mistake. If I want to edit that, I can do the same thing, and you could rename it, and you could regroup or whatever you need to do, okay, if you wanted to. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually go ahead and fill this in and say this is bill date due. So I'm going to name that bill date due. Let's see. That should be good right now. Let's just make the bill date due. So I'm going to say equals the purchase date plus, we'll say 3 months, 90 days, right? Or 60 days. Let's go with 60 days, just for the heck of it. 60 days. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to say equals using formula. I want the purchase date plus 60. That automatically gives me February 28th is when it's due. Now if I drag this down, the beauty of this is the 60 is constant. The purchase date still works for whichever one I'm using. It's always going to say purchase date, and it's using the whole thing, but it's using this line only. Kind of nice. Okay, so that's the bill due date. Days since the purchase. Well, that would be, again, using formula, today's date or current date minus the purchase date. So I would use in a formula current date minus using formula purchase date. Right? So I'm not actually typing anything else in at this point. I'm just using these formulas, so to speak, and this is days, so that really shouldn't be formatted that way. Let me go back to home and let's go to general. Okay. So bill due date is due here. This days since the purchase. Days overdue. How would we find days overdue? Well, the due date and today's date, right? So let's go with equals the current date, so formulas tab, minus the bill date due. That's 19 days overdue. Negative 26, negative 17, negative, negative. So this really means, like, if that's not overdue, we're good to go. Okay? So I can actually void those out if you want to think of it that way, right? We could do conditional formatting if you want to, and basically say, at this point, we did conditional formatting last time, correct? Conditional formatting, highlight cells rule. If it's less than 0, then I'm going to completely ignore it. Custom format. Let's make the fill black. Okay. So I'm not even going to care about that. Okay. So now at this point, penalty 10%. I could actually go back and use this, which is technically a formula, right? And I'm going to multiply it by this piece inside of here. So I'm going to say equals 0.10, that's 10%, times this cell, which is actually referencing G4, but G4 is now referencing these things, okay? And that's, for some reason, isn't a date. I don't know why. Let's do that. 10% times day, so, sorry, what did I do? Oh, times the days, yeah. $1.90 charge per day. That's what it's going to be. So I can do the exact same thing here. Equals 0.10 times 49 days. That's going to give me, same thing. Let's go back to dollar here. So $4.90 per day that it's overdue times $1.09. That's going to be a big penalty. Or times 109, I'm sorry. It's going to be a big penalty for overdue, for 49 days overdue, okay? All right, so those are different things that you can use, again, for the named ranges in the formulas. Again, Formulas tab, use in formula. Your named ranges are in here, okay? So that's for named ranges. The rest of this stuff is all on charts and tables and things like that. So charts, we've seen charts before. Now we're just making some more. That's really all it is. We're beefing it up. So if I grab all this data here, first of all, I want to show you these totals that are in here. Totals here and totals here. Totals are very bad to have in charts, okay? Totals skew the data. You don't always want to have totals in there. You want to have labels, that's true. So you want to make sure you have these labels or topic labels, right? But you don't want to have too many totals in it, because what happens is, like I said, it's going to skew the data. So if I grab all of this stuff, insert tab, and make some sort of a chart, let's make a 3D chart here, the totals are way too high. It makes all this data that I actually care about and want to read almost obsolete or hard to see. So most of the time, we're never really going to include the totals. And even if I went into here and I changed rows and columns, now I have a really tall piece of data that's really not helping me at all, because it's skewing the rest of the data, okay? So what you want to do if you accidentally grab that stuff, instead of deleting it and everything else, if you go to here and you click Select Data, okay? Right now it's highlighting this. I don't know if you guys can see, it's like a moving outline around here. What you want to do is you want to change that. Reselect it. Chart Data Range. That's right here. It's using A1 to F6. I don't want that. If I back it out and I go back to here, I'm going to go to E6. Okay? And that looks a heck of a lot better. So now I'm going to say OK. So that's how you would select data and change your data, including things, adding things, moving things. That's how you would do it, was go to the Select Data in the Data group from the Design, Chart Tools Design tab. So that's where that piece comes in. Now again, once you have this here, this is very convenient. What you can do here at this point is so much. We already showed switch rows and columns. We could do it again if you guys want to, depending on what your labels are. So now the key, or the legend at this point, is portfolios, presentations, book reports, essays, and research projects. Or if you switch it here, it's freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, and this is what's going on in the chart. Your choice what you want. Okay. I want to show and make sure that you guys see this, though. The chart tools, the design tab, and format tab, these things only exist if I'm actually in the chart. As soon as I click off of the chart, those disappear. So be noteworthy of that. It's not always going to be there. So if you don't see it, click in a chart, and now you have more options. Okay. So one thing inside of here, and you'll see this in 2013, 2016 for Excel. 2010, this does not exist. But the chart elements group over here, it's easy to add and remove things. So if you press a plus sign, you want more axes, they're already on. That's great. If you want axis titles, turn those on. You can kind of scroll over it and it'll say what you want to have, axis title or not. You could also say that I want primary or vertical or horizontal, depending on which one you're looking for. There are more options as well. Axis, if they're on or off, primary, vertical, and horizontal, they're both on. For example, I took that one off. I don't have a vertical axis here anymore. I don't know what these data means. So you probably don't want to turn that one off. But chart title, again, chart title's up here already. Turn it on, turn it off. Grid lines even. Primary, major, horizontal. You could do the major vertical if you want. It doesn't really do much in this case. Minor horizontal would make it look a little crazy. But minor vertical too. So, and there's more options inside of that too. So this is a really cool little piece here. The legend, you can actually move it. Right now it's at the bottom. I can put it on the right hand side. I can put it on the top. So you can move what you want where you want. It's kind of a nice little convenient thing if I wanted to put it up top now. Inside the chart title, this is kind of a cool thing here too. I'm going to close that. Inside the chart title right here, you can actually format all this stuff. Chart styles, filter things. I'm going to get to that a little bit later too. But inside of here, chart title, what I can do is up in the format group here, shapes, outline, fill, all this stuff is pertaining to this because this is what's actually selected. And the reason you know that this is selected is a couple of reasons. One, you have this little outline here with the little circles. And two, if you go into the format tab, chart tools format tab, all the way over to the current selection, it says chart title. That is the current selection. So I can click format selection and this little dialog box pops up here. This is kind of cool. Honestly, the best way to learn this is to literally play with it. Okay, so click on border if you want a border. Right now it's automatic. Solid line, gradient line. You can change the color. Let's put a big black line and up the width to make it really thick. You can make it like a double funky border. You can make it dashed if you want to. A lot of different things you can do with that type of thing. So when you click off of it, you can see that this is the new border that's changed to. Same thing with the fill. If you want to put a fill inside of here, I'm going to click on this. It says Format Chart Title. I clicked over here. Format Chart Area. So everywhere you click, Format Major Grid Lines. Okay. You want to be careful with what you're doing. Format Plot Area. Format Data Series. So all these red ones here, I can change those things. I can put a gradient fill in here and make it slide up. I can change the colors to, whatever I want at that point, right? It's kind of fun, actually a lot of fun to do these things. You can change these diagonal directions and whatever else. You can have a lot of fun with it. Basically, what I want to see on this stuff is have fun. Make it creative, make it unique to you. I think it's pretty fun to go through these things. So this is where you get shadows. Shadow is really cool. It's one of my favorite effects to put on like a title, for example. So on this chart title, the shadows, it's pretty sweet. And 3D formats. I love this stuff. So right now shadows are preset. You could do something like this. It's hard to see, but you can see it's in the back. And then you can actually change where it's blurred. If it's a lot more blurred or less blurred, you can change the angle that it's on so it moves for you. You can kind of see how it's rotating around. And the distance, if you increase the distance, it makes it look like it's an actual 3D object. So it's really cool. I'd definitely say play with that a lot. Okay, that's one of my favorite aspects of all this stuff. So, but I'm going to run out of time on this video, so I'm going to pause it here and continue from this spot. So I'll be right back.